Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Jug Show. So, I've mentioned before, I'm going to try and start posting a few more videos, so it's not going to be just The Jug Show anymore. That's where we're going to be talking massively about reviews. It's going to be my longer videos. We're also going to get back into focusing on Jugs Rex, as well as starting some YouTube shorts, as well as just maybe other miscellaneous type of episodes that I'm going to be posting through the week. So I'm going to see if I can manage to do that. But today, we're going to keep going with the Jug Show. Today, we're going to be talking about probably the most controversial issue of One World Under Doom. Now, as one of the few people probably actually really truly enjoying this event, I got a lot to say, especially to the people that are really not liking this and are actually calling out Ryan about how much they don't like it. And how problematic I think that is, as well as when it comes to just not enjoying events. Because the fact is, events, they're always a massive struggle. Because the fact is, Ryan is playing with characters he's never actually written before. And he needs to push his story. And the fact is, he probably doesn't know a lot of the history of these particular characters. And if you just give him a minute, maybe then if he can learn, then he probably managed to create some really good stories, understand the voice of our characters. So that's what we're going to go into today. So starting off, we're just starting off, continuing off where issue 4 ended with the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four, as well as all these other characters, now assembling and battling Dormammu. So this is definitely really it's a cool, strong start. It's the start in the action because this is where we're taking place here now. We're doing the action sequences. We're doing the big battles now. Like because the previous fights, they weren't the big battles. They were more reaction based. They were the heroes needing to pick a fight with Doom because, for starters, they don't trust Doom. They thought that Doom has ulterior motives. They were preemptive strikes, really. But now this one is more of a unification to take down a bigger enemy. So I've said it before, but when it comes to Silver, he's a good artist, but he's maddeningly inconsistent. Like every now and again, for every good one, he's got also a bad piece to go with it. I don't know if this could actually be maybe he feels a bit rushed, or maybe he just needs to practice a bit more. But the fact is, I could be critical of Silver's work all day, but when it comes to being an artist, you're gonna have probably, what's the word I'm looking for? You're gonna have, a little bit of gaps, a little bit of moments where it's probably not going to be that good. For all I know, Silver's probably looking through this work thinking, oh man, I wish I did that. I think I could have done that better. But that's the thing about being an artist. You're not going to get it perfect every time. And the fact is, I can say that it's bad, but it's not. He's just inconsistent. He has his bad moments, but he has his terrific moments too. And it's just a fall through. I mean, there's plenty of artists I can say probably would be bad, but when it comes to Silver, a lot of his art style is definitely done very well and definitely benefits in this type of storytelling of a massive battle. And maybe it could actually be just the settings on the document on the actual program he's using. I don't know which one he's using. He could be using Procreate. He could be using Clip Studio. Or maybe he just changed to a new one. Or maybe he's even trying something new. So I don't want it to sound like I'm being that critical, but I'm just saying there are definitely places where it could be better. I mean, I thought the same thing when he was doing the Fantastic Four for Slot. I felt like he could probably do some practices on on his faces. And the fact is, as somebody that draws myself, I know how difficult some of the body parts are. I mean, the fact is, artists all over are unanimous in the belief that hands are a big pain to draw. And I use a little comic-y style. I mean, it's not even literally my fingers are supposed to be just little rounded parts. and they can still be difficult to draw. So, in the grand scheme of things, it's good and bad. He's good, but he just has his moments where the artwork isn't as good. But that's all you can really say. It's funny because you're gonna have like a panel that is like the most intense and powerful scene you've ever seen, but tush. But then you got the next one, and everything is it's not out of proportion. His proportions on the body are actually really good. It's something I still can't master. It's his detail across the face, across the body, even the coloring. Actually, I'm not sure if the coloring is up to him. Like, we got to remember, it's artists, colorists. In fact, the colorist is actually David Curiel. So some of this is also a little bit on him, like given Wanda's skin. That's the part that worries me because as a Romani woman, her skin is more a light, more of a tan rather than like she is a POC, but person of color. But here she's actually very depicted almost like a yellowish. Like, I appreciate the fact that he's trying to make a person of color because that's definitely gone, what's the word, underrepresented for many years. So I really appreciate the fact he's trying to make a person of color. I don't exactly know the 100% the process of the artwork. So this might actually not even be like he might be trying, but I don't know. So the artwork does have its good moments and it does have its bad moments. That's really all you can say. And well, one of the good moments is say this Susan. Like the biggest example I can think of here is these two different moments with Sue. Like you have this moment where she's turning everything invisible. She's got a good pose, and the detail on her body is actually, it's fine, it's good, and it really does show like maybe a sense of calm, a bit of a power. Like she's literally kind of doing a bit of a power pose. So it's actually a good image. It's actually a very good, strong piece of artwork. But then you have Sue drawn in this moment punching Dormammu, and it's the detail on her face that is a bit not worrisome. It's just a bit weird. It's just a bit off. It's kind of it's kind of looks a little disfigured, and as well as the coloring. Like they could be trying to go for something that I just don't think it's hitting. So that's really what I got to say about the art style. Like I said, Silver has his hits and his misses. He doesn't have the moment where he just kind of misses. He hits or he misses. And quite frankly, with the kind of art style he does, it is a very flash, very big. So the fact that he can actually manage to get hits, especially with these type of characters, especially with these type of moments, it's actually very good. It's just one that's kind of debatable. It's one that you'd probably but you'd want to sit down with Silver, and you probably want to learn his process to see what exactly is going on with his artwork. I don't know if Silver does videos or anything to show his process. I think he should. I would like to see his process because, for starters, like I said, he hits or he misses, but his hits, they hit. They're very good. These are pieces that you want to see. These are ones that really express the power of superhero comics. So I would really like to see process videos of his work, as well as the color artist. That's what part of the reason comics work so well as such a popular medium for storytelling is because of imagery. Sadly, a lot of people look down on comics because they use pictures, but why? It's artistic expression. It's no different than using a novel. Why is a novel considered more adult or grown up than a comic? They're both telling very intense stories. It's just two different mediums. That's the sad part about it not being taken seriously. But with artists like R.B. Silver, they can be taken seriously because of the intensity of his work. So yeah, kudos to R.B. Silver for giving it its best. There's definitely room for improvement in his art style, but you can say that about any artist. Okay, so continuing on to the actual comic and talking about Ryan's work now, rather than R.B. Silver's. So continuing off the actual battle, it's what you expected. It's a big battle, everyone's throwing everything they got, Doom's recovering himself, showing his real power, and we got Susan punching him out. We got all these characters attacking him, and they finally get rid of Dormammu. But that's not the real intense moment. That's the opener. That's what gets people excited. That's what gets your heart racing. But the real intense moment comes after the battle. This is where it really gets a bit scary, and where it really starts thinking, like, this is where you really think, did Doom plan this? I can't help but be on Tony's side here and think Doom did kind of plan this or something along those lines. Because with Doom, the way he sealed away Dormammu was that he stays away so long as Doom is Emperor. So that's really kind of really sealing in the legitimacy of his rule. Like, I either rule or you guys get nuked. So it's a very dangerous purview, but the fact that not only is he doing so well as like creating these benefits to him being in charge, he's really solidifying his rule. And it's what gets people thinking. It's what creates the arguments and makes anybody that would voice against him sound like a conspiracy theorist. Like we have with Tony arguing against the idea of sticking with Doom. But the funny thing about conspiracy theories, sometimes they're true. Because the fact is, Doom is a bit of a madman, and this definitely would be something he would do. I mean, the guy has stood up to the likes of Mephisto before, he's condemned kids to hell. It's not out of his zone of craziness. And Tony, with all the times he's interacted with Doom, he would actually understand that. I have no idea where the story is going to go. But part of me is hoping that maybe, just maybe, we lead to a new status quo for Doom that isn't maybe the Emperor. Maybe we go back to the when he was Iron Man for a time, something like that. I'm kind of hoping for something like that. So with the cleanup, this is where the interesting part comes in, and a bit of the controversy too. The fact is, because we know that Doom is such a villain, but at the same time, he's a very complicated character. This is something I think Ryan is actually doing very nicely on, but I don't think a lot of people agree. That the fact is, Doom being a complicated character means that people would actually talk about him and give positives and negatives. He's a very debatable character. This is what makes him very interesting and makes him very much like Magneto in a way. Magneto is a very debatable character. Does he do what's right, or does he do what's wrong? Is he doing what's right but in the wrong way? He's a very interesting character, and so is Doom. Is he doing what's right, but is he doing it in the wrong way? Honestly, probably is, but we have to talk about the legitimacy of it. Does the ends justify the means? Well, that's another question. That's a question that people have to debate over. This is what's happening here. Everyone is cleaning up after Doom because he's going to go and probably recover after what happened. And then you have all these key people thinking Doom probably trying to get people to like him, or maybe he is trying to do the right thing. The moment it gets very controversial is when Thor voices his opinion. Now, I get why people are upset, because I have to agree that Thor is probably not Ryan's strongest character. But let's really look at what Ryan is. Like, Ryan has admitted that before writing the Fantastic Four, he did read the Fantastic Four before he started writing it, but he didn't. Unlike a lot of other writers, he didn't grow up reading the comics, so he probably doesn't know Thor as much as he knows the Fantastic Four or Tony. His writing for Tony and his writing for the F4, as well as Squirrel Girl and other characters, are actually really good. I have no memory of him ever actually taking on Thor as a writing, so he probably hasn't read a lot of Thor. He probably hasn't read Ewing's current Thor. He's probably putting Thor in this position because Thor is a monarch. He has lived in a monarchy for thousands of years. So while this might not be what Thor's argument would actually be, because of how he knows Doom, but the fact is, defending a monarchy would be in Thor's purview. because he can see the benefit of a monarchy. And he's seeing a benefit of Doom's monarchy. See, I get people being upset for this character being written out of character, but at the same time, it's understandable why Ryan would actually choose this. I mean, I have never seen Thor actually think to himself, should Asgard remain as a monarchy? He always has believed in it being a monarchy. He has never considered creating an Asgardian council or Asgardian presidency. He was going to rule. And now we're talking about heirs in Ewing's book because we got Magni now. So while I get people being upset, I can understand Ryan's choices of using Thor this way, and the fact is as well, some of them are coming I've always noticed when it comes to Thor fans, specifically Thor fans, sometimes they can be a bit aggressive about how Thor can be depicted. And honestly, that can get very annoying. So while most of the time I'm actually ignoring a lot of these arguments and trying to understand where they're coming from, and I do, but the fact is, this isn't fraudulent writing. Ryan isn't a terrible writer. And I don't like the idea of them insinuating he is just because he got Thor wrong. Because the fact is, he is getting Tony right. Tony is actually very frustrated. He would be frustrated because he can't figure out what's going on. He can't adapt to the situation, which is what Tony does. And he's hearing all these arguments for Doom and being when it comes to feeling you're so right and hearing all these people say you're wrong, but you can't fathom the idea that you're wrong, you would get insanely frustrated. That happens. Ryan is creating discord here, like he's supposed to. Like what we're supposed to get from this type of thing. This isn't an event where they have the big bad and they got to beat the big bad because the big bad is so obviously the bad guy. This is a massive moral quandary. We have to actually talk about maybe Doom being in charge isn't a bad thing. So far, the worst thing he's done, while still bad, is inciting bigotry against the vampires. That is a very bad thing. I'm not going to deny that. That is literally the worst thing that Doom is actually doing at the moment. But he's not using mind control. Everyone's remaining intact. And all these policies are actually very positive. So you have to ask yourself, is it really so bad to have Doom in charge? Because he's not doing any worse than all of our ways of doing things up until now. So I think that's what people aren't really seeing when it comes to this event. Because this event is so what's the word? It's very talkative. It's very back and forth. It's very honestly, the reason why they're going after Doom is because they know Doom can't be doing something right. And all their experiences are telling him doing something wrong. But they don't know what it is, but because Doom has so much power, they're reacting to it. They're nervous, they're scared. Of course they are. Doom having all this power is never led anywhere good. So I think people are actually being a little bit too harsh on Ryan here. This is the biggest thing he's ever done. Of course he's going to have some pitfalls. Because the fact is, his first work with Marvel was Squirrel Girl, which was... Look, I haven't read it, but I know for a fact he did a good work voicing for the voice of the character. It was fun. It was... it was lighthearted, so it wasn't as intense as we're going to here. His next work was Secret Invasion. That wasn't as big an event as this is, and when I read it, I was blown away. This was my first real big interaction with Ryan North. I didn't even know it was Ryan North until the second time I read it, and I'm just thinking, wow, this is amazing. And it's this is actually what got me to like Maria Hill. I never thought I was ever going to like Maria Hill, especially when she was introduced in Civil War. I was like, oh my god, what is with this woman? And then he's giving added layers to her. And now my biggest problem with Secret Invasion is, where the hell are Tony's Skrull kids? Seriously, where are they? I want them back. What Ryan is attempting to do in this book is create talking points and put a mirror up of what is wrong in society, like some things that could be wrong in society. The fact is, it makes sense that Tony has to deal with some of his friends siding with the person that they think is bad, because that's going to happen. And it's crazy to think about, and maybe even a little bit scary. But the fact is, sometimes you're going to yell at your friends. Your friendships are going to be tested in these kinds of situations. So, with people yelling about Ryan, about how he's writing, I get it. But you have to remember, this, compared to so many other writers that Marvel has hired over the years, Ryan is actually exceptionally skilled. He just probably needs some more time understanding Thor, or maybe people really just need to try and understanding what exactly he's trying to do here. I don't know exactly what people expect when going into events. I wasn't expecting this, but the fact is, I was just going in hoping that Ryan was going to do something cool. Is this a perfect event? Honestly, no. Is there a perfect event? None come to mind. Is it the biggest thing he's done? And this is the first time he's actually done these kind of events? Yes. So all I ask is that people cut Ryan a break. Yeah, your favorite character might not have gotten written very well, but it's not like he did irreparable damage to him. Ewing might end up taking this moment and making something even cooler out of it. I'm probably not gonna. I probably won't know, because the fact is, I dropped off Immortal Thor. I didn't like some things he was doing, and I just couldn't bring myself to read it. The thing is, I'm not being forced to. So if you guys don't like it, just drop it. It's not like, the fact is, Thor is handled somewhat well in Immortal Thor, from what I've seen as well. People are much more enjoying him than I actually did. So I just ask that Thor fans cut and calm down a little. You can say, like, you don't like how Thor's being written, but don't come after Ryan when he's actually done a lot of actually good work. Secret Invasion, fantastic. Squirrel the Girl, a lot of fun. His Fantastic Four has been phenomenal. So why are we just gonna and and like, I've seen people go at writers after a bad run, and sometimes I can even understand that, because the run could be absolutely atrocious. But this isn't absolutely atrocious. This is just, it's what it is. So I'm a bit lighter on Ryan compared to what other people think. So I don't mind what he's actually doing. I can see how people would have a problem with it. And but they just, my opinion, they're a bit too passionate. So the argument, so yeah, this too is taken in it's two very separate scenes. You got the final battle with Dormammu and Doom interlocking his rule, and then the massive argument between the superheroes. I feel like, actually, no, I don't think this. I don't know what to think of this scenario, really. But I think it's like, people aren't giving Ryan the benefit of like any form of doubt, aren't letting his credibility as a writer slip in. He's writing a lot of characters that he hasn't written before, so I really feel like people should cut him a bit of a break. And maybe one day he will write Thor again, and he'll be massively improved. So I'm hoping that. So yeah, so I hope people cut him a break. And maybe the next 3 issues are actually going to be something absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for? Astounding. You guys know I was going to say fantastic, right? I didn't want to say it, but I was probably going to say it. But I wanted to go astounding. And I'm really looking forward to what we got in this last page with Maria Hill. Like I said earlier, he made me like Maria Hill. I am loving his Maria Hill. I like what he's doing with S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. being an intelligence agency over like a global military is brilliant. Because for starters, it's kind of like what you could use Like, say you're getting into characters, or say you want to do like a comics that are like dossiers of characters or some stuff like that. That's like really fun. Like, it's not actual comics, but it's just really, really fun. You could easily just use Shield documentation, and like that's their examination. Shield could actually be like the tactful mind of the superhero community, rather than the people that go in arresting him. And with Marewa in Storm, and now making the FBI having alien technology, supernatural abilities, that's really setting up like the world has caught up with the superhumans as well as caught up with Shield. So you don't really need Shield being some global military anymore. You have all these other different agencies that probably can handle superhumans now. So Shield can't really be that guy anymore. They can't be the military anymore because everyone else can take care of themselves now. So, being the level of intelligence, they document heroes, document their abilities. What's the word? Predict what they can do. Uh, Hell, come up with fan theories in a way. Like, they literally can represent fans. I've read it like when with a Mystique. So with the Mystique book written by Declan Shelvey, that was a very good example of how they could use Shield now. They don't have the budget for helicarriers and units of guys. The only time a unit was actually used in Mystique was one time, and a lot of them got hurt, and Nick Fury couldn't use it anymore. Using their intelligence, using spy networks, that is a more interesting way to use Shield. Trying to create predictions. This is a very interesting way, and I'm looking forward to whatever Ryan has planned for Maria here. And I'm looking forward to the next three issues, even if the next one's coming out 2 months later. I swear, when I read that, it was like when I read One Piece when Luffy revealed he was going to use Gear 4 with it like for the first time, and then I read 2 week break next week, and I was just like, I just banged my head against the table because I was like, oh, you got to be joking. I mean, they reveal Gear 4, but they don't show what it is, and then to say you got to wait 2 weeks, and I'm like, oh, you mother. I am still liking One World Under Doom. It's not the perfect event. There's no such thing as a perfect event. But I can see what Ryan is trying to do. And he's trying to do a lot more than a lot of writers actually try to in these events. He's trying to create talking points. He's trying to show scenarios that happen in these kind of moments in life. Is it perfect? No, it's not. But he's trying. He's pushing something that not a lot of writers usually don't. So, yeah, wrapping it up, I don't mind what he's trying to do. Maybe he should try learning a little bit more about some of the characters before he lets them have big moments. But I guarantee you that if he did actually do more research on Thor properly because of what happened, like why Thor hates Doom so much, maybe he wouldn't have done it. Maybe he would have chosen somebody else. But the fact is, he was hard pressed probably to find a character that wouldn't outright hate Doom aside from Reed. But he can't use Reed because Reed is probably against it because he knows Doom so much. We already had Valeria arguing against it. So he was hard pressed to really think of a character, and the fact that Thor's a monarch would be an interesting choice. So that's my defense on it. Is it perfect? No. And I'm still looking forward to what's going to happen next. I'm enjoying this because it's more intelligent than so many other events. It's trickier. It makes you think a lot more. It makes you think harder. So I'm looking forward to the next 3 issues. So if you're enjoying One World Under Doom, you're always going to be welcome here. If you want to leave your comments about what I've said, leave them in the comments section below. If you like the video, like and subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed today talking comics. I'll see you guys later.